Neutral Zone Infraction / That Mediocre Sports Show. Today's show is Chasing Rings.
Chasing the ring.
And we're not talking about men and women who are looking to get married. I thought
It's
that was
like,
funny.
Well, we'll see if the 6 people that watch this will think it's funny.
You got enough of your face in there? You got the best
It's
half.
it does actually record a little bit. It's almost like this little black border that's over here. It records that whole black border.
Because this whole part of your face.
It's like, see, like right here. It's like I'm still on camera. I'll guarantee it.
So you're saying I look stupid?
It's like you're just right in the dead center of the screen is what it's going to be. You're just like you got still screen left over there somewhere.
Well, I have to be honest with you. I like this. I feel.
Okay. So
important.
we're going to start and we're going to talk about the ring chasers. Now we'll start in a sport that not a lot of us are that familiar with, but we'll start hockey. So we're thinking, who are some of the ring chasers in hockey, and did they succeed? Well, the 2 ring chasers that we really know of did succeed.
Okay, but first of all, you have to.
2. We can't think of anybody else. It's like we could try to say Patrick Waugh, but believe me, the Quebec Nordiques before they came to the Denver Avalanche, Colorado Avalanche, the Quebec Nordiques hadn't won anything.
No. And I'm going to tell you something about you people in Quebec because Randy's big in Canada. He would have a full screen in Canada. You guys got hosed.
Yeah, you did. You were 1 year away from getting a title in Quebec with that team because it was good.
Should have built the stadium.
But I don't know if Patrick Waugh would have gone to Quebec. There was some weird thing about.
Oh no, they wouldn't have done that because he was in Montreal.
Yeah, I don't think it's like in Montreal. I don't think they would have gone. I don't think Montreal would have let him go to Quebec.
You also have to keep in mind too the era. The super teams of the Steelers, the Cowboys. We can go back to baseball in the early. You couldn't move around.
Yeah.
So you built a super team. You kept the super team, the Celtics of the '60s, and the Lakers. You kept that super team because you couldn't leave.
Yeah. You weren't allowed to leave, so you basically just had to stick around. So any super teams that were created, that's the reason dynasties were created back then. You just drafted good players, and they had to stick with you.
So, back to hockey. We figured out 2 players that we think.
2.
You want to give one so you look smart?
2 players. 2 of them. One of them was a Colorado Avalanche, Ray Bourque.
Ray Bourque.
One of the greatest defensive men of all time, but of course played most of his career in Boston. And the Bruins just weren't winning titles. They weren't.
Didn't win a title at all.
So towards the end of his career...
19 years or something like that he played?
But towards the end of his career, Colorado still had a really good team. Mm-hmm. They still had Sakic, still had Forsberg, still had Waugh, still had a very good core of players. He came here, and we got him the ring.
And you know what? There somewhere, I bet you probably he is right now skating on the ice over there at the Pepsi Center, holding that trophy up. He still does that every now and again because he takes it out of the office.
But he loved Boston. He didn't really want to leave Boston, but he deserves a ring, and he just wasn't going to get it there. But Boston did eventually, but way after Bourque's time.
Oh well,
then the next player,
Dominic Hasek, and he was on a Buffalo team that went to the championship and then got beaten 6 games by the Stars. And there's a conflict of interest there because I recall Brad Hall got a goal, which probably shouldn't have been a goal, which who's to say? However,
Brad Hall.
Is it Brad Hall?
It's Brett Hall, not Brad Hall.
Well, his friends call him
Brad Hall was Brett Hall's cousin.
Better hockey player, probably.
He was great.
Okay,
he was big in the Czech Republic.
So I mispronounced the name. Like, that's never happened on this show.
You mispronounced Hasek, too.
Did I?
You called him Hasek. It's Hasek.
Well, I went with the Canadian version.
You went with the American version, Hasek.
Well,
but Dominic Hasek ended up in the hated...
Detroit.
Yeah, the hated Red Wings. In Colorado, we had a big rivalry with them going.
We still hate Detroit.
They're not very good right now, so it doesn't
matter. We still hate them.
The Red Wings, Hasek went to the Red Wings, and he got 2 rings.
And I still remember this. There were bumper stickers in Colorado, and they still are. Well, they're not as prevalent now, but the bumper sticker said, Red Wings suck.
We're clever.
We're good.
It's like, we are so clever here.
We were this close to doing
We're also the ones that bought all those Boz shirts that said Boz or Bozo, and it's like Boz was the one selling them to us. That's how intelligent we are. We gave Boz millions of dollars, and we didn't like him at the time. So it's like, Yeah, we're not so bright. There's not as much oxygen up here as there is down where you are, probably.
Just means you can get drunk quicker.
So, let's move on to baseball. We really only came up with a couple of guys even in baseball. There's not a lot of them. It's tough to chase a ring in baseball unless you go to the Yankees.
The Yankees. Baseball, hockey, and football. You can't guarantee yourself a championship just by going to the best team on paper. Baseball, obviously the Yankees kick butt, but back in the day when there were only like 4 teams that made it to the playoffs,
yeah,
and even back then, I don't think you could.
You had your 2 division winners, and it was the ALCS and NLCS right from the start.
And there wasn't a lot of free
and then World Series.
Not a lot of free agency back then either.
No, and there wasn't as many teams.
But we did come up with some players that we think in the modern. This is all modern. Well, within the last 30 years.
Because free agency, once again, not as prevalent in the early years. So when the Yankees were building those great teams in the 20s and the 50s and times like that, they weren't allowed to go anywhere. And
baseball is a sport where the most money. Well, it doesn't always win you.
But it'll get you a lot of people. Because remember, the Yankees were buying players every year, and it's like they've been buying them.
Well, they didn't win a championship.
But they don't always win championships because of it.
They didn't win a championship between 78. Well, 78 was the one they won, and then it took them to 96.
Yeah.
So
and Steinbrenner was still spending money.
Mattingly never played, I don't think, in a playoff game.
Yeah, poor guy. But if there would have been more teams in the playoffs at the time, the Yankees were always just good enough to probably be there, but he just never got a shot.
No, and so it's...
It was like the Billy Martin era.
Yeah. Well, Billy Martin went to championships and won. But I'm getting at, what we're thinking of here is the players... It's really hard to chase a championship in baseball, we figured out. We did come up with a couple, and I'll let you...
Well, we'll start with the one, Roger Clemens. This is the one you first brought up. Roger Clemens was chasing a ring.
I think so.
Roger Clemens played years in Boston. Now, remember, for over 100 years, Boston, or 90 years, I can't remember what their drought was, didn't win a title. And you're looking at Wade Boggs and Clemens that were both great Red Sox players, but the Red Sox weren't going to titles. The Yankees were, but Clemens basically left. He went to Toronto, where they were a little bit on the decline, but they had won titles in 92 and 93.
So, and he went in 96, wasn't he?
And he went in 96.
So that's really, I still consider that, I don't know how much on the decline they would have been, but anyway, when he went to the Yankees...
They had won the title in 96.
And if you're a Red Sox, man, you really... To go to the Yankees?
Yeah, especially when Clemens was so known for being a Red Sox.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's one of the all-time great Red Sox considered, and then he goes to the hated Yankees.
And he went for a ring.
And he went for the ring, and he got 2.
Yeah, he did.
He chased it, and he got 2.
And he helped them get it. But the thing is...
Yeah, because that night, they even talked... No, that was the season in Toronto. The season in Toronto, we had the Triple Crown, but he was still really good when he went to the Yankees.
And also, in my opinion, maybe not someone else's, I think that... I saw that. I think...
How can you see it?
Well, you're not much on the screen, right? What I was going to say is, I think that in order to chase a championship, you had to go to a team that had already previously won a championship without you. That's my opinion. And we just differed a little bit on that.
I just think you have to have a winning pedigree. And you have to have a core of very good players that you think could make it to a title.
And in baseball... Actually, in baseball, I think he's probably right about that.
I think in the NFL,
and in the NFL, I think you're right about that. And maybe even in hockey, it sounds like he's right a lot. I get that, but what I'm getting at is here. I still originally was thinking, in order for this to, in my opinion, work, you had to go to a team that was already a championship. And maybe I'm wrong, except when it comes to basketball, which we'll get to later.
Yeah. Because, so did we talk about the other player? We think A-Rod was chasing rings.
I think he was. And money. And Madonna.
It's like, and he made I think he got all of them. He got a ring with the Yankees. I think he dated Madonna, and he got a ton of money. I think he got $150 million over 5 years or something.
And now he's even got, what's her name?
I don't know. I don't keep up with A-Rod. He doesn't play anymore.
I can picture her, and I can't think of her name.
But the fact of the matter is, he wasn't winning rings in Seattle, even though they had great teams.
They had great teams, but they weren't probably good enough.
They couldn't really get past the Yankees.
No.
So he did end up winning a ring there. He even made the sacrifice of going to third base, even though Derek Jeter was a big baby and wouldn't move over.
Derek Jeter, you're a baby.
He is. He's a big baby. It's like everybody talks about what a great teammate he is, and it's like Derek Jeter, first off, you weren't as good of a shortstop as A-Rod. A-Rod was a more athletic shortstop. A-Rod was a better hitter. A-Rod was better than you at everything, and you made him go over to third base. You made this guy right here go to third base. This guy's a baby.
I was
right here.
I was stuck in right.
This is Derek Jeter.
I was stuck in right field.
I was stuck over on the bench going, go team, go team.
Right
you guys
field.
are doing a great job.
And I was wrong about something. It was.
Let me pinch hit. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.
I'm thinking of the guy. Derek Jeter's the guy that's dating the girl now.
Oh, okay, well, fine. Derek, go ahead and talk about Derek Jeter. But Derek Jeter was a big baby because he weakened the team, weakened him. Because the shortstop is one of the most important positions, and he put the best shortstop at third base because he said, I'm not moving over. I won't do it.
And he didn't do it.
He didn't because he didn't like A-Rod. Big baby. Big baby.
And what did we learn?
Derek Jeter, you're a big baby.
And that's another
I would have, it's like if I was Joe Torre, I would have said, move over. If you don't move over, then I'll just find somebody else.
And he probably could have.
Because A-Rod would have been better there. See?
Thing about baseball, we could bring in someone that's really, really good to replace you.
Yep.
You can.
The Yankees could have. They could have signed somebody else that could have replaced Jeter.
Yeah.
I think you could have replaced Jeter with just like a couple of broomsticks and put a glove on one of them. There you go. There's Jeter in the outfield. There's Jeter at third base. Just put a glove on a couple of sticks. There's Jeter.
Pretty brutal, dude.
I remember when we told Jeff, he called off one day and he goes, so did you guys have a tough time? It's like, no, we just put a hat on a mop and said, there's Jeff. And it's like, that's how we replaced him.
Poor Jeff doesn't even, we should send him a link to our show. So
It's like, so we could watch this.
He could watch it and see all the stuff we say about him. So we got baseball there. Go.
We're done with baseball. So that would move us over to football, which
the
once
best
again,
sport
of all, but it's tough to find ring chasers there because you really do have to go to teams that have a lot of good players that have a chance. But we did come up with one or two guys that we think might have been ring chasers.
Definitely, yeah. And you know, again, a football, it is so hard to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it. If
you
you're
have
from
to
Boston.
go if you're going to chase a ring. You have to go to a dynasty, which means like the Niners in the Niners in the 80s. You would have had to go to the Cowboys in the 90s. The Patriots now. You have to go to dynasties to really.
You could throw in there teams that made an impact, like the Giants, the Redskins made it.
Or if you have a great quarterback like the Broncos did with Elway. And
I don't know if you are chasing the ring, because again, here's where I was wrong and Randy was right. In football especially, you are going to a team where the quarterback is probably so good or their defense is so good, you've got a chance to make an impact, but do they need...
You might be the player that puts them over the hump.
But do they absolutely need you? Maybe not. Maybe. But if you have the quarterback, let's be honest, Peyton Manning being here had to have helped us get where... And we hadn't won a Super Bowl previous to that. I mean, we went to the one with Seattle, but it still helped having Manning get players. For us.
I think it helped bring in a guy like Welker.
Yeah,
I think it helped. It might have even helped bring in a guy like Talib because he sees what's being built. So you sit there and you think to yourself, I might want to go be a part of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Who was the safety that we got out of Cleveland? That we had for a couple of years. It was really good. I think it was number 47.
How come I can't remember him?
Big dude. But I think we might have gotten him here because I think we got him at the same time as Talib. So I think it might have been one of those things where
we got a great player. We got a great player from Cleveland. Is that possible?
Yeah, Ward. TJ Ward.
That's true.
So TJ Ward, I think, might have came here because he saw the chance to win.
So you're great. So basically,
Neil Smith back when the Broncos had John Elway. I still think it was probably a little bit of because he knew he had a chance to win in Denver. So it's like it's not like he was going to, a loser team.
Again, it's hard to come up with a ring chaser in the NFL unless you went to a team like the Patriots. There's players out there that might have gone to the Patriots or the teams you mentioned, but you go in the NFL to a place where you've got a chance to get a championship,
Yeah.
not guaranteed, and that's usually where you got a Drew Brees or a player like
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. Now
Tom Brady, of course.
Tom Brady. I will say a couple that definitely weren't. Reggie White. I don't think he was a ring chaser. He was
No, he went where they were giving him, really, I think, the Packers offered him a ton of money, and I think he liked the Green Bay community, so he ended up in Green Bay.
Because I think in Philly he had a great chance still. But anyway.
I don't think even when Charles Woodson went to Green Bay, he was really ring chasing.
No.
I think he was just, the Oakland had basically given up on him. He went to Green Bay and resurrected his career.
Now, should you say the player who we do think was?
Junior Seau.
Yeah.
Junior Seau, one of the greatest all-time linebackers, and especially probably the greatest all-time San Diego linebacker.
Oh, definitely.
He wasn't getting rings in San Diego. I think he played in the Super Bowl that Stan Humphries started, but that was the closest that he got to really getting a ring.
It was against the San Francisco 49ers, and that's the year that your man Young got the monkey off his back.
And
San Diego
the best San Francisco quarterback, Steve Young.
Yeah, I know.
The best one.
And that's where the San Diego Chargers got to see what it's like to be a Denver Bronco fan in the 80s, because it was just brutal.
It was a brutal game, and it's like, well, Stan Humphries, I don't know how that team made it, because Stan Humphries was not a good quarterback.
I bet you had, on defense, you had some
Leslie O'Neal, there was some talent.
But anyway,
I think even Harrison was on that defense with Seau. I think they had really good defense.
That was 95. You think
Who do you think was the running back? Was it Natron Means?
I think it was Natron Means.
Or was it Marion Butts?
No, I don't think it was Marion.
It was probably Natron
Butts.
Means.
I think it was
Means,
Natron.
Benson.
I think it was.
Maybe it was Eric Bieniemy.
No.
Eric sleeping with Bieniemy?
Yeah, just stop.
But that was a Chris
Who was your
Berman.
other one you thought that... Now
Harrison. The other one was Rodney Harrison
maybe.
that I thought went there with... Because they had won in 90... They had won the previous year with Brady. Then they didn't win the Super Bowl, but the team was still really good. And then Harrison went to New England, and then they won 2 Super Bowls in a row.
And then he did not stop Tyree from catching that stupid ball against his helmet.
What a great catch that was.
Harrison.
Best catch ever.
It was a good catch.
Manningham made a great catch too. Do you remember Manningham's great catch that he made on this?
I think he made one after
Do you remember the strip sack fumble that Philadelphia got? Do you remember that awesome pass where Foles went out for the catch and he made the... Do you remember all these awesome plays?
First of all, I'm going to say this about that stupid Foles play. Brady had done the play a few series earlier and it just didn't work. But oh my God, what a great coach this Pedersen dude is for coming up with the Foles folly. I'll throw it to Foles. This is the greatest idea ever. No one will ever... What the frick? You just saw it earlier, earlier. I mean, he's over there watching Belichick just called a Brady play. That's awesome. I think we'll do that. I'll get the credit.
I knew that would just get him going. I knew it's like there are certain buttons when you've been
stupid.
When you've been friends with somebody as long as we've been friends, you know what button to push to just push him over the edge. And I knew that Foles play would bring that out.
Stupid.
It's like, oh, I love that play, and you hate that play.
I hate that play because it was stupid. He didn't even call the right play. I think Belichick sent them that play.
One of the greatest plays I've ever seen in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay,
greatest of all time.
NFL, we can't. It's
tougher to name ring chasers.
Yeah. However, now the sport where the ring chasers,
they create their own little ring chasing, cliques.
And it's not soccer.
I don't know.
It's not.
I couldn't name a soccer player that chased a ring ever. Do they get rings? Is it just a trophy? I don't know because it's soccer and I don't care.
Pele. I don't.
Pele.
Pele's the only soccer player I ever remember.
Ronaldo.
Nehemiah.
I don't know.
He might have been a ring chaser because he was a.
Beckham.
He was.
The first time I ever heard the name Beckham was a stupid movie called Bend It Like Beckham, and I had no idea what that title meant.
And?
I didn't know. I had no idea. I heard of the movie Bend It Like Beckham. I looked at it and I go, that looks like the stupidest movie that anybody would ever make. And then it wasn't until years later, it's like he started dating one of the Spice Girls.
I remember that.
I knew who the Spice Girls were over David Beckham.
And
I still like the Spice Girls better than David Beckham.
I couldn't name one Spice Girl song.
I have their CD.
Imagine you do.
It's a good CD. I like it. I just can't remember. I think one of the "Do You Want to Be My Lover" or something is one of their songs. It was a good song. There's a lot of good songs. I might have that album.
You know
I might
what?
bring that out for you. Go ahead and talk, Sean. I'm going to see if I can
There's
find
not
my
a lot
Spice
of good
Girls
songs
CD.
on that CD at all. I mean, I can't believe that why don't you just break out your New Kids on the Block
Here.
and your Backstreet Boys and your oh, Hanson. How about Hanson?
We'll have Weird Al Yankovic.
Now, Weird Al, that's different, though. Weird Al's... Actually, I want to tell you something funny about Weird Al. When I have my long hair, I'm just saying that could be me. So, Weird Al was cool. Basketball, Jesus. Basketball, very simple.
Wait a minute. I thought we were talking about the Spice Girls. They were a super team.
Yeah, didn't one of them leave to get married? I like...
Yeah, one of them, I think, left and it broke up the Spice Girls.
I like Avril Lavigne. I like the Bengals. And not the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean the girl band. Walk like an Egyptian. That was cool.
Just another Manic Monday. I like that song better. It's a good song.
I wish it was Sunday. No, I don't. But I do.
No,
like
because
Sunday.
I want Saturday to last
Yeah, I
for a
want
while.
Saturday to go, and then it's Sunday is my fun day though, because I'm usually awake. Okay, back to the the NBA. Very simple.
We've already lost the people that are going, are you guys starting to talk about the
Yes,
NBA one?
but we gained a whole bunch of people who love music, and then we lost them when you said Spice Girls.
Because you can't like Spice Girls and like music, I guess.
They're fun to look at.
Okay, so in the NBA, back in the 60s and 70s, you created your super team by drafting them, and they weren't allowed to leave.
Never. You couldn't even go visit another city.
But in the 80s, free agency started, and people would leave teams and go to other teams for more money.
Not often, though.
And then they came up with the Larry Bird rule, where you could pay your star players more than anybody else could pay your star players. And then that went away somehow.
I think that was a great rule.
It was a great rule.
And the NFL should do it. You should, off the subject, but
it went away. It's gone.
But the NFL should
so
do it. If you draft them, you should pay
then
them.
all of a sudden these players got together and said, what if we all team up? What? You're good. I'm good. That guy's good. Let's get together on one team and create our own super teams. And the Boston Celtics said, we will host you. Paul Pierce said, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, come over here. Come to me. And the super team was born. The free agent super team was born.
And we did not include the Rodman or any of those, because Rodman already had a couple rings.
Rodman had rings. Rodman had 2 rings with the Pistons. He
Gary
wasn't chasing
Payton, ring chaser.
Yep.
Karl Malone,
ring chaser.
Went to the Lakers and just a little late on his ring chasing.
Charles Barkley chased the ring twice. Missed both times.
Yeah, that was bad.
Why didn't he just go to the Bulls? He liked Jordan.
He
See,
did.
that was the weird part. Him and Jordan were buddies. Why not just go to the Bulls and hang out with Michael and win titles?
And so what? You have to live with Michael saying, hey, you got a ring because of me. And, okay, that's fine, but I got my ring. Otherwise, you got to listen to Jordan say, hey, I got rings and you don't.
I got 6 of them. And you went to Phoenix and you went to Houston and didn't get rings.
Nope. No rings.
No
Not
rings.
even a telephone call.
No
Not
rings
even a
for
ring.
you. No rings for you. That's
So-
terrible. It's just terrible.
Terrible. So Charles Barkley, I would like to say Shaq never chased the ring.
No, I don't believe Shaq was a ring chaser. I just think he wanted to go to L.A. because he was becoming big in Hollywood. And, I mean, he had made that horrible movie, Kazam. Or he was being offered that horrible movie, Kazam. He had a movie called Steel, which is actually like a Marvel or DC comic thing. I didn't even know that.
You like Spice Girls, you probably liked it.
It's like Steel. And there was some... Shaq, you made some bad choices. Then he made a bad video game, Shaq Fu.
Then he made that really bad rap song about Kobe.
Oh, no, I liked his rap song.
With Kobe?
No, we didn't make one with Kobe. He made one with Fush Dickens.
Well, he made one
Called What's Up, Doc? Can We Rock?
He made one about Kobe.
I think I have Shaq's album on cassette. I think I do. I do have Shaq's album on cassette. He had an entire album. I don't know where
Why
it
don't
is.
you go to the basement and look?
It's like, because the basement is my neighbors below me, and it's like, and if I go take their stuff, they get so mad. They just don't understand.
They don't.
It's like I go to the attic, which is the guy that lives above me, and I take stuff from him, and it's like, look, my attic, my basement, I take my stuff. This whole section's mine.
It's kind of like a townhouse.
So, yeah, it's kind of like a townhouse where I have tenants living above and below me.
Maybe they're renting. Yeah, they're tenants. That's right.
They're tenants,
Okay,
and
well,
that's my stuff.
back on the subject. So, who else did you consider a ring chaser?
In what? Basketball? Oh,
Yeah.
LeBron James. LeBron James was a ring chaser because he put together, he said, Dwayne, we're going to go get the guy in Toronto. Who's the guy in Toronto? There's a team in Toronto. Yes, his name is Bosch. He's the same name as a Tool.
I never thought Bosch was.
He was the Tool of that.
I never thought Bosch was like a superstar though.
But he was a very good power forward.
Yeah.
And you putting him with a very good small forward like LeBron James, and then a really good guard like Dwayne Wade.
Hey, did anybody go to the Spurs chasing a ring?
Nope.
It's interesting nobody did.
No, because those teams were built. You had to basically, because remember when it was the first ring was one with like David Robinson and like Sean Elliott and people like that.
But Tim Duncan was there.
But Tim Duncan got drafted.
Yes, he did.
And then you had Manu Ginobili and you had Parker. But it's like I never really pictured anybody that was a really good player. They had their core three when they had Ginobili, Parker, and Tim Duncan. So they weren't really looking to put
but I think it's interesting nobody went there to chase a ring. Because you sure as heck could have.
That's true. It's like, were there anybody that went? Because they got 5 rings.
They do, as many as Kobe.
Yeah, Tim Duncan has a ton of rings.
And they don't suck like Kobe.
They're not terrible like Kobe.
I said suck.
But these little super teams that get built were because of chasing rings. So when LeBron goes to Miami, it's to create a super team to win a ring. Look at what they do in Oklahoma City. Westbrook is there. So then they bring in Carmelo Anthony at the way end of his career, and the Paul guy, and very good players, but probably creating a super team hoping to contend. Kevin Durant.
The thing is about, you mentioned Oklahoma. Whatever. Oklahoma, technically, it's funny to me, but they had Harden.
Yep.
They had
Durant
and Westbrook, and couldn't win. You had your 3 superstars there, really, because what you have to have is 3 superstars to guarantee, well,
a chance. Now it's to guarantee, because now you have too many super teams.
Yeah.
You have all these players that are kind of clumping up, but they're doing it for that reason.
So
now
Durant,
LA's probably going to end up with, at some point, the Lakers are probably going to end up with Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lakers are going to end up with, they'll probably end up with somebody else that goes there to play with LeBron James.
But you make a good point. I thought, that's great, but he knows a lot about basketball, more than I do. And you said, but Kawhi Leonard plays the same position as
LeBron James.
So I don't get it.
It doesn't work, and I don't think it'll work. And I think, and there's still this part of me that says Kawhi Leonard should not go to the Lakers because he's too quiet of a guy, and you have to be very, very out front if you're going to be a Laker, because it is the most high-profile team in the NBA.
Maybe the Knicks too, and you know what? That makes the Lakers ring chasers because they got LeBron. Another player thinking about this. Well, we now figure out that you need 3.
You need a big 3.
The whole conversation and it came about is because I heard a thing on the radio where Walt Frazier had said, I think it was Walt Frazier, and if I'm wrong, Walt, please come here and tell me. I'd love to get your autograph. God, I wish it was that easy to get someone to come to your house.
It's like, well, maybe if we had more than 42 subscribers, we might be able. If we were really, really big, we might be able to sit there and go, hey, if you want to come down and dispute it, we'll put a chair back here for you, and you can just sit right back there.
Screw that! I'll sit back there. You sit here. However, Walt Frazier had said there should be an asterisk by Durant's name because he went to a team that already had a championship, and I got to thinking, well, they're making this out like this is the only ring chaser in our history. And I must admit, I'm not a big Golden State fan because they did create this. But you know what? I was not a fan.
But they weren't the creator of this. Really, the creator of this is when Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen all got together, and that's when kind of the light bulb went off for a lot of people. It's like, let's create super teams, and then LeBron does it with Dwayne Wade and Bosch, and you cannot argue the results. The results are championships.
Oh, I mean, even if you lose, you got there.
You're at least giving yourself a chance. So you're building these teams that have the chance, but you need a big 3 now to have a chance.
And it used to be a center, but now it's not even a center.
No, you don't even really need centers or, I wish the Nuggets could get a big 3, but it's not going to happen. I mean, unless we draft 3 really good guys. Now, this guy Porter Jr. that we picked up in the middle of the first round, he could be a difference maker.
Not a ring chaser.
He's not a ring chaser.
He will
because we
be,
drafted
but
him.
not yet.
Not yet. No, he might be someday, but right now. But the thing is, it's like, Walt Frazier is sitting there and he's bagging on Kevin Durant for going to a team. There are lots of other people that have gone to teams to try to win rings, that have gone to teams. You can't put an asterisk next to everybody's name that, chases a ring, because isn't that the reason you play, is to win?
To win a ring. And
you want to win championships. If you don't want to win a championship, I don't want you on my team.
True.
Because you're not committed to winning.
If it had to have been for the Lakers, the Nuggets would have gone to a championship in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
They
would have, if it wasn't for the Lakers, we would have went to a championship with Iverson and Carmelo.
Yep.
But it was Kobe and Powell killed us. It's like we just didn't have the guys to compete.
Anybody that comes to the Nuggets did not chase a championship.
That's right. You can't call anybody a ring chaser that comes to the Nuggets because they've never won one.
But I do find this whole ring chasing thing. I get on Durant for doing that, and as I look back, really, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you need an asterisk. I think we need to get off of him a little bit. Although I did think the ESPYs were funny when Peyton made fun of him a little bit.
But it's just one of those things. People go to where they think they have a chance to win a championship. Sure. That's natural.
Especially
and great players that have never won titles. I know that there's the people that sit there and go, well, you should stay where you are and build that championship team. Sometimes the people upstairs, the management, they don't know how to build you a championship team. They draft players and they don't turn out right. They pick up free agents and they don't work with the team. So, look at Dan Marino. This is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and he stayed in Miami his whole career. He never left. He never got a ring.
Never did. And you know what? Elway...
They never found him a running back.
No. Elway stayed here in Denver, and there were times that...
But Bolin was committed to winning championships. He would get him almost whatever he needed.
And there was a time where I had heard Reeves wanted to trade him to... I can't remember the team. Washington. It was the Redskins.
Yeah. Well, remember, we drafted Tommy Maddox in the prime of John Elway's career because Reeves didn't really want Elway.
No, I don't think he did either. I think
Elway and Pat Bolin were getting really close at that point, and
there's a lot of stuff that goes in, and there's no, Elway was he was the only one of the '83 class that won a Super Bowl, and those guys were Jim Kelly. They all stayed pretty much with their teams, and that's cool.
Yeah, Jim Kelly and Dan Marino stayed with their teams. Todd Blackledge didn't really go anywhere because nobody wanted him. O'Brien played most of his career with the Jets. So, I mean, these guys pretty much, Tony Easton, I don't think ever left New England. I think once that New England cut him, I think he might have went somewhere else, but he didn't do anything anywhere else.
Yeah.
So, that class of '83 has a total of 10 Super Bowl appearances?
It's a lot.
And the 3 Super Bowl rings are by one guy, Elway.
Well, Elway won 2.
No, 2. Yeah, that's 2. And then he won 2 as a GM.
1.
But he lost 3. Kelly lost 4.
Slow down. First of all, I got to correct you. He won 2 as a player.
Yeah, 2 as a GM.
1
as a GM. That's right.
Now you can go on.
But that's why I thought he had 3, because he did get the 1 as a GM. But you're figuring that it's like 2 of the Super Bowl rings that he got as a player, those are the only 2 Super Bowl rings. And you're looking at Jim Kelly's 4 losses, Elway's 3 losses, Marino's 1 loss. That's 2 and 8.
Eason had a 1.
Oh, that's right. Eason had a 1. So, I mean, that's 2 and 9 out of that class, the '83 class. But the 3 that went into the Hall of Fame, they're 2 and 8. And they're considered, all 3 of them are considered 3 of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Oh, and the Buffalo teams were great teams. I don't know how they frickin' couldn't figure it out.
Scott Norwood missed a long field goal, but he missed. And
then
after that,
I disagree it was long. 47 yards.
That's a long field goal.
Now the extra point's 35.
It's 47 is still a long field goal, and Norwood wasn't known for his leg. He didn't have a powerful leg. It was just mostly...
Wow. That's stupid. A kicker not known for his leg.
Well, but if you're accurate, then you just basically say, okay, if it's a 50-yard field goal, then we'll just punt, we'll pin him down in. But if I have a 40-yard field goal and this guy makes 40-yard field goals 99% of the time, you got to
get to the 20 something.
Yeah, you got to get to the 20.
I want a field goal kicker.
Well, no, you got to get to the 32 to have a 40-yard field goal. No, you got to get to the 22 to get a 40-yard field goal.
And again, I am proved right.
But it's still, Norwood didn't have a powerful leg. It's not like he would kick 60. He could kick a 63-yarder.
Well, he should have ate a granola bar before he kicked that damn ball. Then
the ball had the distance. It's just he had to kick it so hard to get it there that you know how it is. If you over kick or over, he didn't get to do his normal motion that he would have done because he thought he had to put more power behind it, so it pulled it a little bit.
You're talking to someone who's never over-excelled at it.
No, but I mean, if you want to throw as hard as you can, you're going to throw a ball
goes right in the goddamn dirt, a foot in front of me.
But that's how it is. Sometimes you will take a ball, and when you try to throw it as hard as you can, sometimes you'll get the release point right. Other times you hold on to that ball too long, and what does it do? Smashes right into the ground.
Into the dirt.
That's basically what he did with his kick. If he would have done a normal kick where he didn't think he had to kick it so far, he probably would have split the uprights, but he might not have made the distance. But he had to overkick, and so he just kind of did not get his perfect motion, and the ball just went a little off.
And that makes Bill Parcells people happy.
Yep, makes the Giants, and I was happy.
Yeah.
I was happy he missed that field goal because I did not want them to win.
I didn't either, but as I look back on it, I wish they'd have won one. I know you don't.
Not at Parcells. I mean, I would have rather, if he was going to get one of those.
Holy crap, 36 minutes? What is wrong with you?
It's like if he was going to get one of those Super Bowls, I guess I would have rather him had to do it at the Redskins' expense than.
I'd have been okay with that, except Schlereth. Another story, another show.
Yeah, but Schlereth got 2 with us, so it would have been fine.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Neutral Zone Infraction / that Mediocre Sports Show.
That's a long Neutral Zone Infraction / that Mediocre Sports Show.
But chasing the ring. I'd like to do a show on the ugliest championship rings.
We need pictures.
I got
But with all that being said, to the troops, past, present, future, thanks for the freedom.